ADHD by the time they make it to high school. To date, only one significant study has looked at ADHD misdiagnosis and found 20 to 25% of boys were misdiagnosed. And this was before ADHD was as common as it is now. So they're saying it's a real issue. I know quite a few people that are drugging their kids.
Literally every boy on earth could be given the diagnosis of ADHD, and I'll show you at the end of the video exactly how your therapist or your school counselor or your doctor might be doing this. What is the problem we have with boys? They are being diagnosed with ADHD at a rate of 1 in 7. And this is a product of the environment as well as the people who sit and stand against boys and men, taking all of their typical behaviors and making them into a diagnosis which calls them disordered, when in fact we've set up environments that are not conducive to the learning or to the flourishing of boys and men. Watch what happens. When boys are in the age of adolescence or even pre-adolescence, they are supposed to be playing and participating in rough and tumble situations. They are supposed to be learning how to fetch, gather, and even hunt things, because that's what's been adaptively normal over the course of history. Now that they are remaining in one seat, sitting in a classroom, and being asked to do things that girls actually flourish in, they are being diagnosed as being disordered. And then we as mental health professionals or the education system, as well as parents who may feel out of control, are pigeonholing them and putting them in a situation where they must be muted or blunted in order for them to succeed. This is a great travesty against boys and men. It's time for us to stand up as parents and as concerned citizens and as people who believe in the Bible, to stand up for what's normative, what should be appropriate, and what's developmentally going to help these boys flourish, which can be one of many things. But if they don't put their hands on something, if they don't have the ability to make and to create, then ultimately they'll just find it in video games. They'll use their goal-directed activity and motivation to pursue things like spicy materials online in lieu of what they should be doing, which is building themselves, their moral character, and their capacity, their competency, in order that they would be able to use that goal-directed behavior to pursue real relationships in person instead of sending pics to someone on Snapchat. The education system and the therapeutic system are driven as much as 80% by women. Now, women are better nurturers, better teachers. They have capacity and competency in this area that gives them more interest in teaching and being therapists. However, the feminization of those two industries has led to a misunderstanding and a misappropriation of what boys and men are supposed to be. And so when naturally a young man walks into that guidance counselor's office, it's almost inherent that there would be a misunderstanding of what it is to be a normal boy, because they just simply aren't being seen by men. Now, I don't know that the solution would be adding more men to these industries, nor should men necessarily be interested in them. But if we don't begin to understand boys differently, we're going to continue to say that they have disorders when in fact they are just normal, being asked to sit in communist hellscapes with brutalist architecture and read and write and repeat things that are not necessarily even what boys have adapted to learn or what boys have adapted to need during those certain ages.
Focused. You know when I wasn't focused? Algebra. You know when I was really focused? If somebody started talking about fighting and how to throw a right hand.
Just think about what I'm saying with my dog. I mean, there's really something to that. Like, that dog wanted to go run. And if I forced him to sit into a room, he would go crazy. He would bark, and he wouldn't want to do that. That's how kids are.
Exactly.
It's the same goddamn thing.
I've been a substance use counselor for over 12 years, and I've seen a prevalence of people who are coming off of ADHD medications as adults being addicted to amphetamines and methamphetamines and not having any good plan for getting off of them. If we want to avoid this conduct and this issue as a society in the future, we have to begin to help people adapt to these stimulus-rich environments where there's phones, television, computers, and more immersive technologies like AI girlfriends and other things that are going to prevent these boys and men from learning how to adapt to their own learning styles. Part of which is putting their hands on things, tactile information, giving men something to do where they can create and build, but that certainly will not be part of the public education system. So let's think about homeschooling. Let's move them into territories where they might be able to utilize those skills and what their strengths actually are, including their physical strength. If boys and men don't have the opportunity to put hands on things, they will not be able to adapt to this stimulus-rich environment, and instead they will be compelled to seek video games, spicy material online, or other things that speak to that desire to build and pursue sexual behaviors, pursue relationships that will be gratified in ways that will hinder their growth and ultimately not cause them to seek any motivation, any goal-directed activity, and it will prevent them from learning how it is to adapt to their own isms.
It's very common that people will buy, on college campuses, et cetera, they'll buy Adderall. There's also one called Provigil. And I don't know that Provigil is an amphetamine, but I've talked to people who take it for work. And they basically say, yeah, I take it in the morning and I'm just on fire all day. I can just sit there and concentrate and I get so much done. Of course, then I'm up all night and I can't fall asleep for like 24 to 36 hours.
As a dad, I'm concerned. As a therapist, I'm more concerned. And as a Christian, I am on emergency level with 1 in 7 boys being diagnosed with ADHD. Let's begin to have respect for what boys and men actually need. Now, I've done this in a video prior, but looking through the DSM-5-TR, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, by which all these men and boys are being diagnosed with ADHD, every single symptom that's listed on that DSM, the ways that your boys are being diagnosed, every single symptom starts with the word often, which is a subjective phrase meant to be broad, nebulous, ambiguous, in which every therapist, psychiatrist, doctor, psychologist that they're walking into has the ability to apply their own definition of what often means. So if they often fidget, if they often get up, if they often interrupt, if they often lose things, these are all subjective measures, and literally any person on earth can be diagnosed with this because there is no scientific rigor involved with the Diagnostic Statistics Manual, and there's no rigor in which they can be diagnosed accurately.